NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network, presented by Whelen Engineering and also brought to you by Hercules Tire. I'm Hannah Newhouse, joined each and every week by Kyle Rickey, who has a beautiful, sunny Connecticut for the Stafford Motor Speedway behind him and is currently telling me to hurry because he's hot. Kyle, I don't feel like you've been able to say that for quite some time because it's starting to get cold up there. So just appreciate this moment, Kyle.
It is. It's nice out, outside it's, 70, 75 degrees, but the sun coming in off the glass, it's a little toasty in here.
That's okay. Well, we'll get through this there, Kyle. Over the weekend, though, speaking of hot, the ARCA West Series was out in California, had a beautiful weekend of racing, the temperature hot outside and on the racetrack. It was a chaotic Napa Auto Care 150 presented by Burco Redwood. I was actually out in Reno, and Kyle, you were sending me updates, and it seemed like every update I got was a screenshot from Track Pass of a car in the wall, a car being spun out, lots of smoke. And after reviewing the race, your screenshots were a pretty accurate representation of that race.
11 caution flags for 69 laps in a race that was only 150, so almost half of the race under the caution flag. The biggest incident late in the event between Jake Drew, Cole Moore, and Jesse Love, all racing for the lead, getting into each other in turn number one, and a brand new race winner came out on top when all was said and done.
Yeah, pretty cool to see Paul Pedroncelli Jr. get that win, and actually a late race caution being that of the last lap. Yep. The driver said that he was frustrated to see it come out, the caution come out, because he was in second and was stoked with a second place finish, would be his highest finish for him in the ARCA Menards West Series. So he was bummed that the caution came out because he didn't think he was going to have a chance even at second. Joey Ais took the top, Paul took the bottom, and was able to muscle his way down on that green-white checkered, get the win. The points, we have one race left, Kyle, in the West Series. Phoenix, a couple weeks away, they'll start the weekend off with their championship race. Only a handful of points now separates the top five.
Jesse Love, a 1-point lead over Paul Pedroncelli, who with that win climbed up to within a point. Jake Drew, 3 points back in third. Joey East, fourth, 5 points back. And Cole Moore, fifth, 6 points back. So it's going to be a wild finale. I hear the car count. The entry list continues to climb every day at the Phoenix Raceway coming up on November 6th, the race that can be heard here on the Motor Racing Network, the championship race for the ARCA Menards West Series. I think you'll usually see a lot of your, Ty Gibbs, your DGR cars that make the trip out for that, which is great to see the car count. But personally, I kind of want them to all stay home because there's such a good championship battle going on here. To see an upset winner like that, could really shake up the points. So either way, good to see the car count good and looking forward to watching that race. We talked about the Pinty series a lot over the last couple weeks. They wrapped up their season in a triple header at Delaware a few weeks ago. LP Dumoulin was able to capture that championship in a dramatic weekend. We'll talk to him here in just a little bit about that championship weekend and collecting yet another Pinty Series championship. But first, of course, we've been joined by Logitech as a partner this latter half of the season. And our own Woody Kane was able to sit down with William Byron to talk about what it's like to have an iRacing team in the championship event. Take a look and listen here.
The last 2 years, having Nick win the championship last year was huge. And when Steve Myers came to me and asked me about possibly starting a team, I was excited for it, but I didn't really know how it was going to work and how much money it was going to take and all those things. But Jody over the iRacing side of things has done a really good job, and we've done a good job kind of, getting sponsors like Logitech and making it work. So yeah, it's nice to have Logan in the championship this year, and 2 years in a row, we've had somebody go for the championship.
For all of your iRacing news, featured videos, and more from the world of iRacing, you guys can go to iRacing.com. This iRacing update is brought to you by Logitech G. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll talk to LP Dumoulin when we return here on NASCAR Coast to Coast.
Whelen Engineering, a global leader in the emergency warning industry, designs and manufactures reliable and powerful warning lights. Whelen also produces white illumination lighting, sirens, controllers, and high-powered warning systems for automotive, aviation, and mass notification industries worldwide. Every part of every Whelen product is proudly designed and manufactured in America and is tested on-site to meet the toughest industry certifications. Whelen Engineering, a global leader in the emergency warning industry, trusted to perform since 1952.
Gamers, start your engines. Meet the next generation of racing wheels. The award-winning Logitech G design is re-engineered to dial into your game physics, delivering unprecedented realism. Feel every shift, drift, and hairpin turn like never before. Our latest innovation in force feedback technology connects directly to endgame simulation engines and physics to produce higher fidelity, real-time responses. Through design, engineering, and the love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Go to logitechg.com.
Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network. We talked about the Pinty Series, who wrapped up their championship a few weeks ago, and we're joined now on the guest line by the champion himself, LP Dumoulin. First off, you win Backdrop of the Year. I was just giving Kyle heck earlier on in the show. I think you have him beat here. That's a pretty cool setup you got.
There you go. Just for you, my friends.
Awesome. Congratulations on that championship. We're glad to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about the last weekend of the season. 3 races in 48 hours. How much pressure is that for the driver? How much pressure is that for the race team? Because you had a race on Friday night, you had one day to breathe, and then back-to-back races on Sunday to determine the championship.
Yeah, it was a huge challenge for the drivers, but especially for the team. Knowing that, that whole championship was within 2 months, 10 races within 2 months to start with. And I think the Pinty Series did very well on dealing with all the curveball we had through the season as well. And we ended up with 3 races within 1 weekend at Delaware. The team did an outstanding job because we were actually 11 points behind Alex Tagliani before the start of the weekend. And we had a very good plan. If the car was going one way, we were doing this, or if the car was going the other way, we had another plan. So I think everybody was really focused. We stayed calm, and we were just ready to go. We were very pumped.
I think staying calm was a huge part of it, because it seemed like every time I would read the race recaps after each night, a lot of chaos at the Delaware Speedway, a lot of tensions flying. At what point kind of throughout that weekend did you guys realize that championship was thoroughly in your grasp and it was going to be more about maintaining and not so much chasing?
I honestly, starting the weekend, I knew that we had a good, shot at it. Let's put it that way. It's NASCAR racing. It is short track racing. We're going to Delaware. A lot of those guys, that's where they're from. A lot of drivers were, pretty much born driving there. And, there's always a whole deal about, okay, so Alex, is 11 points ahead of you, and what's going to happen during this weekend? I was like, hey, guys, there's a bunch of other great drivers, great team back there that they had some problems during the season, but they want to prove themselves. They want to prove their sponsors and fans. They want to do well. And we're going to have to drive our championship among those guys, and they are good, very good. So in my book, I was not focusing too much on the championship lead, more than thinking about we need a fast car, we need to be a very good driver, and then we need to be thinking about the other people around that will be racing very hard to get the win and to get a good way to enter into the off season, So we had to fight among all those guys. And for us, the pressure was high, but at the same time, I was like, we have a shot at this thing if we have a fast car, if we're able to fight up front. That's the only way to do it. And I think once we were up front and the speed of the car was comfortable, I was really thinking about, I got to finish my races. I got to be, top 5 every races. And if I can fight for the win or the podium, then we'll attack and we go for it, despite, all the other stuff fighting against Alex. Unfortunately, he had some problems. And at the end of the weekend, we ended up fighting against, Kennington and Ranger for the championship in the last race.
And you mentioned 3 outstanding names there that are staples, as yourself in the NASCAR Pinty Series. Overall, 10 races, a great roster. How would you rate the competitiveness of this 2021 campaign? Because it seemed like there were a half a dozen or more drivers running for the win about every race.
We have, former IndyCar drivers. We have former Cup Series driver. We have people coming from all kinds of racing. Super good late model drivers as well, coming from, different series. And every NASCAR driver knows if you're good at late model stuff, when you come up the ladder and you come and fight against, us in the NASCAR Pinty Series, they did really well. So the competition, from my point of view, is very high and very good. And the teams are awesome too. So it's tough. It's a tough gig. And on top of it, adds up to the fans that we're all there. And then for the last weekend, there was a tons of fans in the stands. And it was fun to feel a bit more like normal and end up that season, 2021 season, with a lot of cars, a lot of fans, sponsors. And then, of course, getting the big trophy on top of it was the perfect way to end it up.
And to continue that question, kind of with the competition caliber that is in the Pinty Series, you're now one of 3 drivers that now has at least 3 or more championships in the Pinty Series, which is a pretty cool accomplishment all within itself. Was that something that you felt was on the radar when you first entered Pinty Series competition? And, when you found that out, what are those emotions to know that, hey, your name is going down in the record books of essentially one of the best in Pinty's?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine that at the beginning. That's what I was saying earlier on. When I started Pinty Series, I was a road course driver, and then I had to learn all the oval stuff on top of it. It was not just like a speedway, like super speedway or different type of stuff. I had done some, 24-hour Daytona and then Homestead and then, Fontana stuff before, but it was all roval I was doing. Now I had to learn really short track racing. And then against all those guys are really good grinders. It's been a tough gig, but, WeatherTech, Ben Martin behind me since the beginning of that whole oval and road course stuff. And we got 3 championships together, working super hard every season. And there's not one championship that's the same, it's just, the first one is like, okay, we got one. And then the second championship was with my home team. And then this year was a different one, with the whole pandemic stuff. And then we worked so hard, not knowing where we were going, but we just kept the faith, kept working super hard. And extremely hard, proud of my team and sponsors, partners, and fans. I'm still on a cloud right now.
And you answered my next question on how this championship kind of stacked up to those other 2, all 3 very different, and this one especially in a different era of the way we're living right now. And you said that the season ended on a more normal-like weekend. The fans were there. The sponsors were there. How are things up in Canada right now as far as the whole COVID situation is concerned? Are things returning to normal?
Well, yeah, exactly. And that was a big deal because the whole preseason was really hard. And then the series did very well. The NASCAR Pinty Series did very well, trying to keep everybody happy because, if you go one way, sometimes it keeps the other team not happy as much. And then so they did their best, and I think that it was great for our sponsors, WeatherTech and Ben Martin, to be out there and then have something out of this year, even if it was not easy. We had to start the season later and then compress the whole season. And everybody knows it's tough to prep those cars, go from a road course car to an oval car. It's overtaxing all the crew in the shop to prep all those beauty. And then at the end of the day, it was tough, and I think it's getting better in Canada right now with the situation, and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel here to come back in 2022 with a full season across Canada again, and that's what we're looking for, and have back to a normal program as much as possible, and let's try to go get for another one.
And we saw NASCAR kind of here stateside adapt and absorb things that they were kind of forced to do in the COVID era. That being, of course, us not having practice this year. You guys more so forced into a doubleheader. You had primarily doubleheaders. The triple header that came, of course, due to a rain delay. As a driver yourself, did you enjoy that doubleheader format, or do you kind of look forward to having single races, maybe back on the schedule for 2023?
I was from Formula Cars before NASCAR, and then I can deal with sprint racing, no problem. I like it too. But as far as when you go NASCAR racing, from my point, I think we need the longer race. We need strategy. We need our crew to be involved over the wall, and then keep the show for a longer, distance. Let's say like 200 lapper instead of 150. And I think for the preparation as well, it really helps when it's a longer race. You go with one car, and you can mentally get set for a longer race, and then the intensity goes higher and higher as the race goes on. And so there's a lot of little things that gets in the road there to make it better for me if it's a longer race. I guess for the fans, it's some people likes it when it's, 2 short races, but for us, we need to prep 2 cars, because if there's something happening in the first race, you need another car ready for the second race. And that's a lot of work in the shop, and that's a lot of money involved as well to get all that going. So, for the road course, like Mosport, we have one race on the Saturday, one race on the Sunday. You have, as a driver, to think about, the next day, you still need your machine to be doing well. So, I think it was good for this year. And then, you know what, again, as you said, we adapt to the situation. And I think that's the force of the series, the force of the team, and then even the fans were understanding that, it was not easy this year. We did adapt to it. But I think we're ready to go back to normal.
Do you have any more normal, exactly. Do you have any interest in racing back here in the States? Is there any opportunity, or do you want any opportunities potentially of coming back to the States and running in NASCAR's National Series?
Oh, I would love it. I mean, the first championship I won in the NASCAR Pinty series was with Mario Gosselin as a crew chief. So, we stayed very good friends, and Mario keep helping us, when we have questions and stuff, he's always ready to answer and help. So Mario's got his Xfinity team going, and he's got a lot of good cars. I follow them, and maybe at some point I can jump back in one of those cars, and I would love to start, with some track I know. Obviously, road course for me would be probably a good way to go back at it. I love the Glen. I love Road America. And then never been to Charlotte at the Roval, never been there. So that could be fun too. But we'll see. I mean, that's something I would love to do. But I really enjoy myself here with the NASCAR Pinty series with WeatherTech. I mean, it's been 10 years now with WeatherTech as a primary sponsor, and man, it goes quick. 10 years already. So it's something I really share. I mean, I'm very happy and proud of, and I want to keep that going for sure. And I got two little boy, 3 and 5 years old, so they're growing fast, and they kind of like engines, so that keeps me busy too.
I say that's always a recipe for trouble. That's when my dad found out I liked cars and engines too. It was game over for him. But LP, again, Congratulations on your championship. It's been fun to watch. Hopefully you do get to come stateside here and race with us eventually. Of course, Kyle and I always so bummed to not see the Truck Series back up at Canadian Tire. That was one of our favorite trips to see the Pinty's guys, and also just that area in general. But congratulations. Looking forward to watching you next year, and enjoy the off season.
We will. Thank you so much for having us.
Again, guys, your 2021 NASCAR Pinty Series champion, LP Dumoulin. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we've got your Whelen Engineering driver spotlight.
Whelen Engineering, a global leader in the emergency warning industry, designs and manufactures reliable and powerful warning lights. Whelen also produces white illumination lighting, sirens, controllers, and high-powered warning systems for automotive, aviation, and mass notification industries worldwide. Every part of every Whelen product is proudly designed and manufactured in America and is tested on-site to meet the toughest industry certifications. Whelen Engineering, a global leader in the emergency warning industry, trusted to perform since 1952.
Sir, are you aware you were going 40 miles an hour? This is a residential area.
Sure, but I'm on my lawnmower? Wait, am I getting a ticket?
No, I've just never seen anyone top 9 miles an hour on one of those bad boys. And mow their entire lawn in 30 seconds? What got into you?
Well, it did fuel up at Sunoco this morning.
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Get back to NASCAR roots by driving headfirst into the new home of grassroots racing. Flow Racing keeps the original NASCAR tradition of dirt track racing roaring with more than 1,300 live and on-demand oval events from across the U.S. Learn how the next generation of NASCAR drivers is prospected in sprint car racing. Subscribe today by going to flowracing.com/GoMRN. That's FLORacing.com/GoMRN.
Welcome here to NASCAR Coast to Coast for our Whelen Engineering driver spotlight. We're joined now by Brittney Zamora, who we'll talk about it a little bit later on in the show, Brittney, but you had a pretty exciting weekend of your own at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, the first female to ever win on the 5/8. How exciting was it to get that finish, and what were kind of the emotions in Victory Lane?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was only my third start at that track. So going in, my expectations were come out clean, get a top 5, and, just keep learning because last time I was at that track was a year ago. So I wasn't sure, with just the updates and every race, the drivers get better. So I definitely knew I had a challenge in front of me, but to come out there with a win was definitely exceeding our expectations. And I didn't even know that I was the first female to win at that track until I got out of the car. So it was pretty cool to, win and hear that information at the same time because there's been some really great drivers there in the past, both guys and girls. And so to be able to do that and go down the history books is pretty cool.
And you kind of led me to my next question there. It kind of took social media by storm because the fairgrounds is one of those racetracks that we grew up on the West Coast, but you knew about the Nashville Fairgrounds and, some of the drivers that have made their names there, cut their teeth there, and honestly, even still that are racing there, the competition caliber is extremely high. Does it kind of make that win that much sweeter knowing, okay, yes, you broke a record, but you had to beat some pretty tough competition, to do it?
Right. It feels really good. Honestly, one of the biggest things about trying to move my racing out east is I feel like people underestimate the West Coast. They're like, she want to race out west. Not a big deal or whatever. But to do that, and we understand the competition level out there, but to come out here and win again and show that we do have tough competition on the West Coast and our wins are valid, they actually do mean something. So just to come over here and do that is really important to me, and I hope we can keep doing it.
Yeah, it always makes me giggle when I start talking to people about the West Coast versus the East Coast. I'm like, no, I don't think you understand. Garrett Evan, Naima Lang, and the Riddle brothers are like our Steven Natsy, our Bubba Pollards. They just don't travel. They're very content being in their little areas. The competition, nonetheless, though, is still pretty intense. How did this opportunity kind of come up? Like you said, you raced there a year ago, but have kind of been figuring things out is what it kind of seems like. What sparked the all of a sudden, all right, let's do this again?
Yeah, so I haven't raced in a few months, but in that time, I've still been doing school, picking up some more classes, and then I also made the move to Nashville. So that took a couple weeks out, in addition to everything else going on. And I've been looking for a ride this whole year. It's hard. It's hard to come out here. I came from having my own car to where we could go race every weekend to now I'm solely running on sponsorship dollars. So that just makes it 10 times harder, and it takes a little bit longer to get those races secured and get funds for it. So, sorry about that. So it makes it a little bit harder to secure those races. And I definitely wanted to be back in a late Model B with Rackley War. They're a really good team to work with last year. And we just understood each other really well. So I knew that we'd click again this time, and it worked out in our favor.
The wheels are definitely in motion now. A win like that makes it a little bit easier. One would hope to, keep the momentum going. Do you have anything in the works? I know 2021 is kind of coming to a close, but do you have anything in the works for next year? What are kind of your goals for 2022?
Yeah, I'm kind of revamping my goals, I'd say. Now, just focusing a little bit more on what I want to do with the smaller budget and spending, those sponsorship dollars wisely and getting the most out of them. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be racing anymore for the rest of 2021, just kind of focusing on what I can get started for next year, because that's going to come really quick. So trying to get that figured out. I definitely still want to do like the short track scene, late models and everything like that. But anything higher than that, I'm definitely interested in and would be a great addition to the late model stuff.
And how much longer do you have in school, and what are you kind of going to school for?
Yeah, I have just over a year left. So I graduate like next Christmas, which will be really exciting because I'm ready for it to be done and focus on my career a little bit more. But I'm going in for marketing, which will be nice because we all know that motorsports is like a large percentage of marketing. That's what we all do. So hopefully that'll help me get my foot in the door there.
Yeah, we always try and figure out, what else can I do besides driving the car to push everything forward. Well, Brittney, was exciting to watch. It was cool to see that pop up on social media. The win, I know a lot of people were excited for you as well. And, hopefully the wheels are in motion and we get to see you back in the car sometime soon.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Again, that is Brittney Zamora, your Whelen Engineering driver spotlight for the week here on the Motor Racing Network.
Gamers, start your engines. Meet the next generation of racing wheels. The award-winning Logitech G design is re-engineered to dial into your game physics, delivering unprecedented realism. Feel every shift, drift, and hairpin turn like never before. Our latest innovation in force feedback technology connects directly to endgame simulation engines and physics to produce higher fidelity, real-time responses. Through design, engineering, and the love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Go to logitechg.com.
Whelen Engineering, a global leader in the emergency warning industry, designs and manufactures reliable and powerful warning lights. Whelen also produces white illumination lighting, sirens, controllers, and high-powered warning systems for automotive, aviation, and mass notification industries worldwide. Every part of every Whelen product is proudly designed and manufactured in America and is tested on-site to meet the toughest industry certifications. Whelen Engineering, a global leader in the emergency warning industry, trusted to perform since 1952.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTires.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the tire tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTires.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network. A lot of rain kind of plagued the area here in the Southeast, including that of Wake County. The Cars Tour was supposed to have their second to last race. I can't ever say that word. What is it? Penultimate? The penultimate race was supposed to be on Saturday for the Cars Tour at Wake County. Mother Nature pushed them into Sunday. Didn't even honestly look like they were going to get it on Sunday, but they did. The per year 175. And Deke McCaskill, a name we haven't seen in victory lane for quite some time, was able to get the win in the Cars Tour. Cool to see him get that victory. I know he was more excited in comparison to the win. He was just more excited to have updated victory lane pictures with his wife, of course, who's had quite the battle, and his daughters. So congratulations to him. They'll actually crown their champion in both the super late model and the late model stock division this upcoming weekend at South Boston. The Nashville Fairgrounds ran as well, of course, 5/8 mile. And a West Coast name, a name that I'm more familiar with, Brittney Zamora, kind of making a one-off start for the year for Rackley War Racing in a super late model. Won. And the first female, Kyle, to ever win on the 5/8 at the fairgrounds.
Which is hard to believe because I feel like that racetrack has been around forever. And obviously it's been around much longer than the super speedway that we've been going to on the national series of NASCAR for the better part of almost 2 decades now. So great for Brittney. It was fun to see her to win that race on Saturday night, and also fun to see the reaction of everybody in the infields and in the grandstands when she took the lead there with about 7 laps to go.
Also, we've talked about it, some more racing over this past weekend, but we're kind of winding down, Kyle. Seasons, they've all started to crown their champions. The National Series is over. We've crowned most of our touring. We're kind of getting to that time of year, and it's almost weird to think about.
It is. The NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, for the most part, outside of the ARCA Menards West Series, the only other division in action last weekend. They had a doubleheader, the Grand Prix of Belgium. Steins Longen picked up the race win on Saturday, holding off Lucas Lazier, a former IMSA sports car driver here in the States. Alan Day, a former and multi-time champion, won on day number 2, holding off Mark Goosens, another road racing ace here in the States, in a race that took 29 minutes and 33 seconds. There are days where I'm all about that. So
I was going to say, I wish.
Absolutely. A very quick race. It was available on the NASCAR Whelen Euro YouTube page and some of their other social media platforms to view live. And you can go back and rewatch those events. 1 weekend ago, the Grand Prix of Italy coming up in 2 weeks' time, October 30th and 31st. Loris Haseman, the championship leader, by 21 points over Vittorio Garelli, easy for me to say. He is 21 points back. Gianmarco Ercoli, 23 points back. Lucas Lazier and Alan Day round out the top 5 within 35 points. And speaking of Loris Haseman, there was announced this week a new NASCAR Cup Series team coming into the program for next year. They're going to run part-time. It's going to be the Team Hesburg, number 27 car that we'll see next year. They are teaming up with the Rayom brothers, who we know in the NASCAR trucks and in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. The drivers will be Loris Haseman, who will run some races, and I can't wait to see him at the racetrack, but Jacques Villeneuve in a NASCAR Cup Series car. That should be awesome. Obviously a Formula One champion, an Indy 500 winner, and has found so much success these last couple seasons in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. So good to see the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series now represented here in the States at our top level.
See, now all we need is just to get LP Dumoulin a ride, and then we'll have the crossover that everyone's been waiting for. That's
right. Absolutely. And then maybe Ruben Garcia from the NASCAR Mexico Series.
Perfect. See, just put us in charge, Kyle. That's all we're asking for. Well, this weekend, I'll be headed off to South Boston for that Cars Tour Championship race. Kyle, Stafford's season is over. What are you going to do with yourself?
We have one more event here in Connecticut at the Speed Bowl in New London, Connecticut. So I will probably go to that on Sunday, and then that's it. We're done up here for the most part in the Northeast. All the other tracks are shut down and preparing for 2022.
Crazy to think that 2022 around the horizon. Again, we want to send a congratulations to LP Dumoulin on his championship and all those that collected wins over the past weekend. We'll have more to talk about here on Coast to Coast next week. I'm Hannah Newhouse for Kyle, Rickey, and producer Craig Moore. We'll see you guys next week here on the Motor Racing Network.